Hi, I'm Jennifer Bardot, and we are here to talk about grit. And what does grit stand for? Growth, resilience, intention, tenacity. And it can be taught, which leads me to introducing my next author, contributing author. She's in Intention, and this is Natalie. And Natalie, tell me a little bit about who you are.
So, in a nutshell, I would say first and foremost, my main title is mother. I have three beautiful children, 23, 22, and 13, and I have been kind of in the gamut of sales and management my entire career. And that kind of took me into where I am today, sitting here with you and being a part of this book. And I'm very grateful for that and grateful for the opportunity to be able to share my story and be able to help other folks.
And I love that you mentioned that your first title is a mom. I'm a mom of three boys too, and I think just that title alone is undermining because it takes a lot of work to be a full-time mom and to be present for your kids. So I love that. And now that you're a part of this grit community, what has that experience been like for you?
You know, it has been just remarkable. The whole journey to get to this point and realizing, you know, every one of those letters within the grit, it really means something to me. And it's been very eye-opening, this whole process. And the intention portion of this was absolutely perfect for me and telling my story and my journey. It's really meant the world because it has helped tremendously with being able to kind of open up a whole new world to me, you know, realizing that with everything that I have done and accomplished at this point, you know, I'm not alone in this journey. And it was amazing to me to realize, wow, there is this community of women out there that have their own stories, but we all have come together and really, you know, been able to pull this together and lean. You know, it's amazing when you read all of this to realize everybody pulls from each other and their own little journey along.
Right. And there's so many similarities with the stories. And I love the fact that you alluded to the loneliness, you know, because when you share a story and you see yourself in someone else's story, some of that loneliness is alleviated. So I love that that resonated. That was one of my missions when I published my first book, Owning Your Grit. So if you could share a little bit about the Cliff Note versions of your chapter, which is soon to launch, what does that look like for Intention?
Yeah, so I would say the Cliff Note version, it's kind of hard to wrap that up, but I would say just like for a little example here, a long time ago, I was in this Christian women's group, and we were at the beginning of the year, it was probably like 6 or 7 years ago, we were told to pray on a word that, you know, would carry you through the year.
Right.
And, you know, I sat there and I thought, well, this is a little crazy, a little wonky. What I don't know what this is for. But so I sat there kind of in meditation and thinking, you know, all right, what is this? What does this mean to me? And a lot of these women were putting up words, which are great, totally fine. Strength, integrity, were action words like that.
Right.
And the only word that kept coming to me was butterfly. And I couldn't figure out why. And, you know, and it was one of those things, and like I said, this was 6 or 7 years ago. And looking back on that and looking back on the journey that I've been on the last 6, 7 years alone, it is amazing to me to see that that word has become just all-encompassing of my whole world and life as to where I am now. With this metamorphosis, I have really grown and come out of that shell and, you know, been able to find my voice again. And that to me is the biggest takeaway, because I think when you get into motherhood, which is, you know, one of the greatest gift I've ever been given, it is so easy to lose yourself and lose yourself in everybody else's dreams, their goals, their missions. And a lot of that kind of happened to me, and my dreams and my goals and my aspirations were put on the back burner. And so this was for me, my chapter, my story is one of really rising above all of this and rising above being backed into a corner with, just everything coming at you from, the child bearing, rearing aspect to going through a divorce to trying to rebuild my life and restart everything, and then realize my inner strength is in there. My voice is in there somewhere. And it was my time to find this and, kind of come out of all of this. And so, like I said, 6-7 years later, the butterfly is just right there, very prevalent. And now I know what the meaning is for sure in that.
That's beautiful. And I can actually visualize that image of this beautiful butterfly, as you said, going through this metamorphosis stage and transforming. So that's gorgeous. If there was a tip of advice you could give a reader or someone who's going through a struggle, what would it be?
So years ago, my quote that I have always lived by, and it has always stuck with me, it was actually my senior quote too, was destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And, I think far too often, especially as women, we're so concerned with taking care of everybody else that, again, we fall by the wayside here. And, I had to be very intentional about my choices in the last few years. And there's an element when you are spending your time taking care of everybody else and everybody else's journey that, there's a fear that creeps up. Can I do this? Am I good enough? All of these things. And, I am big on taking risks and making sure that you put yourself out there. And I can tell you that along this journey to get where I am now, where, I am managing the Midwest for a company and I am traveling around 12 different states and educating folks and what have you. 4 years ago, I was waitressing and I was, I had nothing left in my tank, no mojo left, basically. That's, something that I write about. And I took a risk. I took that chance. And, I had that fighting spirit in me and I wasn't going to, back down from the fight because, I knew I needed to do this for myself, for my children. And, I would say that one of the biggest things is, you never want to sit there at the end of the day and be worried, thinking about all of the what ifs. You can do that all day long, but as long as you have gone in and put the work in and taken that chance, worst that can happen is somebody says no. Yeah, that's the worst. And, so I am living proof that, your life can completely turn around. You just put the work in and you put the effort in and, I'm in a completely different spot than I was. So, that is my biggest thing is make sure you take the risk. You've got to get out there. You've got to put yourself out there and break away from that fear. Because like I said, the hardest thing, it's a no. Who cares?
And that is so inspiring. And I want to thank you for your time today, and I can't wait to read your story and intention. So thank you.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.